Hey, I don't know if you can hear me that well or not, 'cause the fan's blowing in the background. It's kind of hot in here, and, I know I'm wearing a jacket and stuff. I have, it's a self-conscious issue, so I wear, like, the jacket as, like, I guess, like a safety net or something. Uh, but yeah, I'm gonna be reviewing the second movie in the Child's Play series. There's of course is Child's Play 2, which comes in this pack right here with Child's Play 2, Child's Play 3, Bride of Chucky, and Seed of Chucky. This one, Child's Play 2, is one I remember the most. I remember seeing it as a kid, and I remember like certain scenes from it. And when I watched it again, like recently, like wow, like I remember this movie now. Like I remember like certain scenes from it, especially the end, the finale scene. So this one takes place, I believe, a few years after, or a year after the events in the first movie, and Andy is placed in a foster home now with a family, and they have a teenage daughter named Kyle, which I always thought was weird because she has like a boy name, so I always that's why I remember her name, because a girl has a name name a girl has a name named Kyle, so I always thought that was weird. Um, so like I was saying, yeah, Andy is in a foster care, and his mom's in a mental institution. His mom's not in the movie. They just say what happened to her, but It's the same kid actor from the first movie, because I believe this came out in 1990. So this came out 2 years after, or 3 years after the first movie, and yeah, 2 years. So I'm sorry, I'm getting nervous right now. So and Andy's in this foster home, and Chucky, finds out somehow. He magically finds out how he's in the foster home. But basically, he he phone calls this woman, and he says, "Hey, I'm looking for Andy Barkley. I'm one of his family members." And she's like, "Oh yeah." She gives him this address, like the address where he lives and stuff. And he hops in a car, and the guy's driving him to the house, or he doesn't know he's driving him to the house. And Chucky goes and suffocates him with a plastic bag, and then takes over the car and goes there and find Andy, and of course starts causing mayhem again. Um, so yeah, that's the basic plot of the movie. Uh, there's a few things that bother me about this series, and especially in this one, because the whole series, but this is where it first begins. So and how they reincarnate Chucky is that they take his body parts from the first movie, take him to the factory, and remake a whole new doll from his old parts. And I was like, who would fucking do that? Like, what company would take? Plus, it's evidence, because that was at the crime scene from the first movie. But I never understood like why they would take his remains, like burnt remains, not throw them away, but use them to reconstruct a whole new doll with it. But you gotta kind of like let that go, because they do this in all the sequels, and in part 3 they remake which I'll get to that, they remake a whole new doll again with the fucking his parts. But that bothered me. And then when Andy gets to the foster home, uh, they have a good guy doll there for him as a gift. And I was like, like they're either like dumb or they're like really insensitive because they should know his history, like what happened in the first movie, that he claims that he was attacked by a good guy doll, and that a good guy doll tried to kill him and his mom. So why the hell would you give him a good guy doll? Are you trying to traumatize him, or are you trying to just, what are you doing? And there's a funny scene in the movie where Chucky, when he gets to the house, he finds the good guy doll, because I think his name is Tommy or something. He's still on, and, Chucky walks by and the thing's like, "Hi, I'm Tommy," or something. And then Chucky attacks it, takes it outside, beats it with the shovel, and buries it in the backyard. Um, I thought that was funny. Um, there's some, like, the scenes I remember well from this movie is, there's a scene where Andy, he's in class, and he has Chucky there. Like, I don't know why they would let him bring a doll to school, I don't know. But, they're doing an assignment, and they turn in the assignment, and the teacher, I think it's Miss Kettlewell or something, she's looking through the assignment, and the one that's Andy is like a bunch of drawings. It's like a drawing of ducks or something, and it says "fuck you, bitch" on it, and she's like, "Well, you're gonna stay in this classroom because you wrote, we don't write offensive stuff on our assignments." So she keeps him in the classroom with her, and Chucky's she throws Chucky in the closet, and he starts making noises, so she opens the door and gets, Chucky starts pelting her with like basketballs. He stabs her in the back with like an air pump thing, like an air pump needle, and then she falls out. She manages to get out of the closet door, and like she's crawling away and stuff. And Andy's sitting there seeing it. He's trying to get out the classroom because she locked the door. And Chucky comes out with a ruler, and he's like, smacking his hand like that. And he goes like, "You've been very naughty, Mrs. Kettlewell," and he just starts beating the hell out of her with the ruler. Um, I was like, damn. And I know I'm gonna say this again. Um, I never understood like how these grown ass people can't get away from Chucky. Like, they can't kick him, they can't punch him, they can't do anything to him to get away from him. He can overpower them really easily. Uh, and the other scene that I remember very well is the grand finale, where it takes place in the toy factory. Like the first, which I thought was cool, because in the first movie, like the finale where they destroy him was in the bedroom, no, in the apartment in a bedroom. And this one they like up the ante, and that fucking toy factory looks amazing. Like, there's a scene where Kyle and Andy are running around the toy factory, and there's like walls, I mean like literally walls like high of good guy dolls. Like, it's like a maze, like they're running through, and Chucky jumps out, grabs Andy, is trying to do the spell on him to transfer his soul into his body. And I think it's in this movie where they really push the idea that, he can't, Charles Charles Lee Ray, his soul cannot stay in the doll's body for too long, because if he doesn't find a human host in time, his soul will be permanently stuck in the doll body. So if he gets shot or stabbed or, anything, he can feel it. He'll bleed. He'll have scars and stuff. So he's like really wanted to get out of the doll's body into a human body. So he's much more vicious in trying to get there. But so they're running, like Andy manages to escape and they're running. And then there's like some cool scenes where like they're running up this like up like this thing, kind of like an escalator thing. And there's this guy, a worker, he's like trying to get them off the thing, and he falls off and falls onto this conveyor belt, and it's like going, go down the thing. And it's the eyes, like this thing, it sticks the eyeballs into the dolls. Well, he's on that thing, and he goes underneath it, and the plastic eyes come down, stick him right in the eyeballs. His eye sockets, and he had like doll eyes. And then Chucky gets his arm cut off, and he replaces it with a knife. And then he gets his leg cut off. But then finally Kyle and Andy, pour molten plastic on Chucky, and he melts to death. Which I think that was Chucky's best death scene in the whole series. And I was like, wow, like he was just like a freaking gory mess. It was like plastic and limbs and blood everywhere. I was like, shit. And the movie kind of ends on a downer note where, Andy and Kyle escape, and, Andy wants to know if they're gonna go home, and Kyle doesn't know what's gonna happen to him. So yeah, so that was kind of a downer ending. But anyways, yeah, I think out of all the series, and at least the first 3 Child's Play movies, this has to be my favorite one. It's the one I remember the most. It's the one, I had more fun with, especially the ending and the finale in the toy factory. I also like the original poster art. I don't know why, but Chucky was. Hold on, let me try to find a better one of the original poster art. Here we go. This is the original poster art for it. Child's Play 2. And it says, I don't know why, but Chucky's face just looks creepy on this, and the Jack in the Box, like the scared look on the Jack in the Box face, just made it, just makes this poster stand out to me. And I think it says, the original tagline says, it says, "Sorry Jack, Chucky's back." And I was like, every time I see that poster, I was like, damn, that looks terrifying. I'm like, these movies don't scare me, but that poster, like, just the way that Jack in the Box face looks, just kind of, like, creeps me out a little bit. But anyways, that's my review.